do it live.
Say hello to Richard Dryfuss.
My kingdom for the horse!
Say hello to Marsha Mason.
An actor.
Say hello to Quinn Cummings.
I think he's kind of cute. He reminds me of a dog that nobody wants.
It's my first standing ovation.
The Goodbye Girl is about to become one of your favorite movies. Richard Dryfuss
I said it was formal, kid.
and Marsha Mason.
Don't panic. Even Ginger was nervous the first time she danced with me.
In Neil Simon's delightful new comedy, The Goodbye Girl. Say hello to laughter. Say hello to tears. Say hello to The Goodbye Girl.
Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the 2025 edition of the Cinematic Lounge. Hello, Maria.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How was your holiday?
My holiday was great.
Oh, that's right. I was with
It was really
you.
nice. We were together.
Yes, we were. All right. So today we spun in 2024 and we spun The Goodbye Girl.
Yes, we did.
1977's Goodbye Girl, which you had never seen. You'd never seen any of them. So there you go. So, yeah, excuse my cold. I will not be imbibing today because I'm coming off a horrible holiday cold. So what's the drink for The Goodbye Girl?
So the drink is called a New York Sour, and it's bourbon, simple syrup, lemon juice, freshly squeezed lemon juice, and then floated Chianti on the top.
Chianti. Like a nice Chianti.
Yeah.
What is simple sour?
Simple syrup.
Simple syrup. I'm sorry.
It's just sugar water. It's like we've talked about that before. You just melt the sugar, add water. It's just, it's a sweetener.
Do I ask that every time?
No, you don't ask that every time. You've just asked that at bars we go to when they ask what we do. Like, what's
I'm such a beer guy. I'm just starting to get into, what do you call them? Maryland crushes. Okay, that's a Maryland drink. And I'm starting lemonade and vodka. Yep. I'm trying to do more adult drinks instead of just beer all the time. But, today it's cranberry juice. Delicious. Okay, Goodbye Girl, 1977.
Much better.
Excuse me, starring Richard Dryfuss, Marsha Mason,
Yes.
and Quinn Cummings.
Yes.
Who you knew right away when you saw her.
From the show Family.
From the show Family. All right, so I'll give it a little. It's a romantic comedy written by Neil Simon, Marsha Mason's husband at the time.
Yes.
Directed by Herbert Ross, and it's about an actor and she's an ex-actress whose actor boyfriend moves out on her and leaves her in an apartment with her daughter. But he sublet the apartment to another actor, a friend of his, Richard Dryfuss, Elliot Garfield in the film. And it's about their coming together to figure out how to deal with this sublet that they have. And they decide to share it for a while. And comedy ensues, romance happens, and it's just a pleasant little, in my mind, romantic comedy. Turns out it's a little cringy, based on Maria's reaction to one scene in particular. But for me, it was all about Richard Dryfuss. Okay, I had been introduced to Dryfuss in Jaws.
Right.
Now he was in very early. He was in American Graffiti. I think it wasn't a small part, but it was, it wasn't the biggest part in the world. So I got introduced to him through Jaws and just thought he was great. And then in 1977, of course, he does The Goodbye Girl, and he also does Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He goes on to win the Oscar for The Goodbye Girl, and actually was the youngest actor ever to win Best Actor in this. Did he deserve it? I'm not sure. I forget who he was up against. But I remember seeing this in the theaters as 1977, so I would have been a sophomore in high school and just loved it. And actually kind of fell in love with Marsha Mason a little bit. I think this was one of her earlier films. She went on to do a lot more than this one. But again, for me, it was all about Richard Dryfuss. And I just thought the film was adorable. And Quinn Cummings, of course, precocious little child actress, was great as well. So I want you to talk a little bit because you definitely had some interesting reactions to things going on in this film. And I kind of want to get one scene in particular, which we'll talk about. you had your typical Maria reaction to, and I just thought 1977. We gotta have some standards that are stretched a little bit. But anyway, what did you think about the film?
What did I think about the film? What I learned about the film is that rom-com is just not a genre I'm good at. Like, I don't. It just, I can't. Like, I can watch a drama or horror or mystery or whatever, and I can suspend myself and kind of enter the story. For some reason, with rom-coms, I really struggle with that. That's
interesting.
You know, and I realized that. I was like, why do I just always just immediately turn up my nose like at it? And it's something about, to me,
you don't believe in romance?
It's all unbelievable.
You don't believe in romance? Even after what happened to us, you don't believe in romance?
What happened to us? That was so romantic.
Whoa! Oh my God! You don't remember the drive-in?
Yeah, I remember the drive-in.
You don't remember my reaction to your leather jacket at the drive-in?
I don't remember your reaction.
You don't remember how cool I thought you were?
You didn't say anything.
I did. I absolutely said to you, wow, I mean, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. You don't remember all that? Yeah. You really are. You don't. The romance is dead for you, isn't it?
I was cold, dark little heart.
It wasn't. What a minute. The drive-in was cold and dark?
No, I said I have a cold, dark little heart.
That's true. Turns out that shirt you wear on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it's a black heart.
Black heart. That's you. That's definitely. All right. Yeah. So romantic comedies.
Not my thing.
Not a thing for you.
Yeah, it's not a thing for me because I just struggle with the whole premise of,
people falling in love.
Not people falling in love. I guess it's because I just have never thought it's this crash, boom, bang moment. Like, it's always like, ooh, there's always that moment where they all of a sudden fall in love.
Yeah, to be fair, in this film, it happens fast.
Exactly.
I mean, they go from, Neil Simon also wrote The Odd Couple. Uh-huh. And frankly, this is sort of a boy-girl odd couple type deal. They were fighting from the get-go.
Right.
About everything.
Of course.
Because, he thought he deserved the apartment because he did. He paid for the apartment. She felt the same way. She deserved it as well. But they went from like complete hated each other to, oh my God, in the scene we'll talk about.
Yeah.
When he professes his love for her, he went like that. But okay, that's a romantic comedy. That's what happens.
That's the way they roll.
And you don't like that.
It's not that I don't like it. I cannot believe it.
You can't believe it.
I can't believe it.
That it could happen to anybody.
That it could happen.
That love at first sight is BS.
I believe that people think they've fallen in love at first sight. I believe they believe it.
Yeah.
I just always am like, yeah, but they're going to be picking their teeth and doing stuff in about 3 months, and you're not going to be in love anymore.
Well, it's my joke. Wait 3 years, and you see if you're still together.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
that aside.
Yeah.
That aside, your definite animus towards romance. Did the movie touch you in any fashion?
No.
Not at all?
No. I mean, it was fine. It had some cute one-liners that
Mm-hmm.
made me laugh a little. Mm-hmm. I definitely felt for her when she's been left by this guy, and obviously she hasn't been working the whole time she's been with the actor. So she tries to go back to be a dancer again, right. And I felt for her with that because
she has to get herself back in shape.
There's the age difference too. She's just not able to compete, which is kind of one of those careers. Dancing is like that,
right?
So I did that. I felt bad for Richard Dryfuss when he was being directed by that crappy director.
They wanted to turn Richard III into a gay.
It was awful. Yeah. It was meant to be awful, and I felt bad for him because he was following the director's
based on a true story, according to Marsha Mason, that actually was something that came out of her experience in one of those. Yeah, that she had the same thing where they try to turn Richard III, who I guess I've never seen it, so I can't be an expert, but I guess he had a club foot and a weird hand or something. Mm-hmm. And this guy the director wanted to turn him into a flaming, homosexual.
Yeah, a very stereotypical.
And Richard Dryfuss, as Elliot, had a real hard time dealing with that.
And then he was portraying it in a very stereotypical way, which we don't do anymore. But but that's 77.
So that made you very uncomfortable as well.
It did. His interpretation made me uncomfortable, but it wasn't Dryfuss's fault. It was the director who was directing him. I felt bad when he got the bad reviews. So I was able to kind of connect with the characters a little bit on a day-to-day basis. But the whole falling in love process,
definitely against that.
I don't want to say I'm against it because I'm not against love. I mean, we got married. I mean, we got married.
Yeah, but it
again,
doesn't
and
sound
it's
like, it sounds like that was more of a business arrangement rather than love. I mean, I'm not going to lie. That's what it sounds like to me. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
No, it was
Okay. So there was some romance there, a little bit, something that I did.
Love
maybe?
and romance are two different things.
Okay. All right. I understand that.
So
I guess.
I don't know. My definition of romance just is probably not.
So it sounds to me like romance isn't a thing for you.
It's.
I mean, excuse me, I'm a little torn here because, I don't want to think that you just picked me because of what? I mean, there had to be some spark. Was there a spark? There had to have been.
Yes.
I don't want to turn this into you and me. I'm sorry. It's getting a little weird. But I mean, I do want to feel like there was some little that wasn't just, this is a good business idea because, as I get older, I need someone to take care of me in the house. You know what I mean?
I mean,
there's more to that.
There is more to that. I guess I don't qualify that as romance. Like to me, romance is the old fashioned, flowers and cards and that kind of stuff, that wasn't it. Yes, obviously, because I'm the one who asked you out. I'm the one who said, hey, we had plans, but you haven't texted me. Do you really want another date? So I was
trying to be aloof. And you did ask me to get married.
I did. So obviously.
Okay, so obviously there's something. Okay, so back to the film.
So anyway.
Here's what I'm surprised about. I'm surprised that I didn't get some of your Maria pushback that you give me in these films about the daughter being put in that situation, that mother was putting that daughter in this. First of all, she's with a married guy in the house with them.
Right.
So she had a father that this baby came from was somebody that left her.
Right.
And she had a couple in between this where she was taking the daughter. I'm surprised. I was surprised that I didn't get any pushback from you about that aspect. Now, the scene we're going to talk about, you definitely came at me right away. But I didn't get any pushback from you about this daughter being put in this situation, which I found fascinating.
I silently judged it, but I left it alone.
You never silently judged. You tell me right away.
Because it was a movie, and I'm like, okay, well, that's not right, but I mean, she's a dancer. She probably doesn't make enough money. She's probably going from guy to guy to make the money so that she can raise this kid.
Yeah, so you were being supportive of her.
I wasn't being supportive of her because I did not like the fact that she kept repeating her pattern.
Yeah.
Like she didn't learn anything from it.
Yeah.
So she,
even with this guy, even with Elliot.
That's what I mean. So she supposedly fell in love with Elliot and everything is going to be wonderful. But then she immediately went right back to the person she had been where she was being taken care of. And, and not taking care of herself and her daughter. So that was part of it. Like I would have liked to have seen her, her relationship with Elliot be a little different. But they were only together 3 weeks.
I mean, they started with a business proposition.
Right.
Right, which was let's share this apartment because it
was a roommate thing.
A roommate thing.
Mm-hmm.
But her sleeping with her daughter was, it's funny looking 2024 eyes. It always, because 1977, I didn't care. It was like, this is a fun movie. All right, let's talk about the scene that got your ire up. Okay, so it's when he professes his love to her.
Right.
He does it in a bathroom.
Well, no, No.
Okay. Let's go. I want to hear this.
The scene starts outside of the bathroom.
Okay.
And he's like professing her love. His love for her, and it's kind of confusing.
She's pushing back a little.
She's pushing back.
Not totally,
but she's pushing back. Right. She's like, no. And then all of a sudden, at the very end, he makes a joke about the fact that she has this face mask on.
Yeah, she had that. She had the low, whatever it is. Yeah.
So she realizes that she's like, women don't want to be seen that way. So she runs in the bathroom to wash it off, and he proceeds to follow her in there. Right. And she's washing her face, and he proceeds to shut the door and lock it.
Yes, he did do that. It's so romantic, though. Isn't that romantic? You wearing that face thing, and he's still. Okay, go ahead.
She's trapped.
Go on.
He trapped her.
Trapped. She has there's 2 doors to that bathroom. You know that, right? Do you remember that bathroom? That bathroom had 2 doors. It had 2 doors. It had the one that he locked, and he had the one that went into the bedroom. I'm just saying, geographically, he
I
didn't
don't
really
recall
trap her.
that.
Okay.
I don't
because
recall
you know,
that.
because spatial things with you is weird.
Spatial sucks for me, but also the way it was filmed, the other door wasn't in the picture.
Maybe.
It wasn't in the shot.
Yeah.
There was only one door, the door that he locked, and then proceeded to stand up against.
That's the one door you saw. But if
That's
you
the one
remember,
door.
there were more doors in there. But
Maybe there were,
Okay.
and maybe
I'm
if they,
defending- I'm defending
you
you.
are.
Don't you ever do that again.
Your lips may say no, but there's yes in your eyes.
Don't get cute with me.
That went over.
And
It went over the top for
was
me.
that it for you? Was that the movie's over at that point?
At that point, yeah, it was at that
You didn't
point.
care.
It was like, it's like the Luke and Laura of it all.
So
No.
even the bogey scene where he goes up on the roof and he makes her dinner up on the roof and he comes out as bogey and
that is my definition of romance.
I said it was formal, kid.
So when you say I don't believe in romance, that to me is romance, and those are the kinds of things that don't.
rose petals on the
Yeah,
ground, go
that
have
kind of
dinner.
stuff,
So if you
yeah.
came home one day, you would like trails into the bedroom, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd be like, wow.
See, that's why I don't like Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
to me, that's like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. So
Ugh.
that's what I think
like
of
we're
when
watching
you say
the lesbian. What is the show we're watching?
the ultimatum.
Ultimatum,
Gay
and I'm
queer
just
edition.
like, oh god, it's because that's all it is. All they talk about is their romance, and it's just like enough, don't need it.
No, but that's
All
what
right,
I mean.
So that's when you were out at that point. But
Right.
what did Bogey get you back?
No.
No, you didn't care. You were
No,
done.
I didn't care anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't care anymore because I felt he pushed too hard to start with. Now, she ultimately kissed back.
Yeah, she
You know,
gave
she-
consent.
I didn't hear her say yes, but I didn't hear him ask.
She said yes with her eyes. You weren't looking at that either.
But I didn't hear him ask, and it was a different time. We're much more conscious of consent now than then. So I'm going to say, it's going to be more apparent in movies now, I think, than you would in 1977, that there's some sort of consent
I don't know.
happening.
Okay, like a movie like what's on the list? So you haven't seen it. So say anything. There's a scene that we'll talk about when you ever see that film. But most romantic films are a little stocky and a little rapey.
Yes, yeah, maybe that's why I don't like them.
Yeah. I mean, because you're trying to convince someone to fall in love with you, and the way you do it doesn't always.
You shouldn't have to convince someone to
Well,
fall
I
in love with
understand
you.
that, but in romantic comedies, it always starts with them being adversarial, and then they realize they look at each other and go, "Oh my God, you're the one I should have been with." I mean, that is part of that genre,
Yeah.
which you don't like. So, I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
obviously, okay.
So I guess that's the whole part of that that
Okay.
I don't like.
So, okay.
that scene just, I didn't like
Done.
it.
You were done.
I didn't like it. Richard Dreyfuss's character was a pushy from the start
Yeah,
to me.
he was a caricature too.
Yeah,
Of
I
an
mean,
actor.
he was pushy from the start, and he kind of was annoying, but he played that character well. So as
Yeah, he did.
acting wise, it was fine. But then when he did the thing in the bathroom and locked the door and everything, then I just didn't like him, and I didn't like her much either, because then they're now in the bedroom, the kid's kicked out, like they changed all the dynamics, and the
immediately.
poor kid.
Yeah, immediately.
I'm like, now all of a sudden you're
Immediately.
living
They went
together in love.
They went from to that to okay, kid, you got to move out.
Yeah.
I'm moving in. Having said that, how about his relationship to the daughter?
I liked that. I did like that. I thought he was respectful to the daughter. I thought that was a cute relationship.
Me too.
And they wrote the daughter to be the precocious.
Well, they may have wrote that, but to get someone to do what she did
Yeah.
was pretty amazing.
Right.
Yeah. So
And they obviously had some sort of chemistry, because they did have a little cute little banter, the two of them.
yeah,
and
especially the scene where she's sick in bed and he plays the guitar, and that's sort of the start of Marsha Mason's character kind of digging the guy, because
Right.
he was so nice to the daughter. He ends up falling asleep in the daughter's bed. She lets him stay in the daughter's bed.
which was bizarre.
I know, which I thought you would have definitely been puking on the floor at that point, but you weren't. And that sort of leads her to go, okay, this guy is, and she ultimately they end up
Right.
falling in love, and the movie's got a happy ending. And supposedly, the two of them were going to do a sequel
Oh, were they?
where they go to move to LA, and he becomes a very successful actor, and then problems happen with that because he
Right.
takes advantage of that situation. I kind of would have liked to have seen that one. I like these two characters. I especially liked his character and would have loved to have seen it go beyond this particular movie, but they decided obviously not to do it. And the movie was quite successful. I mean, surprisingly so for everybody. I don't think they expected this to do as well as it did. And you know, I think it's all had to do with the chemistry that those two had when they made the film. They talk in the IMDb, all they talked about was the chemistry between Marsha Mason and Richard Dryfuss.
Right.
And, you know, Richard Dryfuss is one of my favorite actors. And my favorite movie he's ever done is the one that's on the wall there called Let It Ride.
I've never
where
seen
he
that.
plays the degenerate gambler that has a day that everything goes his way. And his energy and his demeanor is just what I love about Richard Dryfuss. Stakeout's another one. You've probably never seen Stakeout, but that's another one he did with Emilio Estevez. And they play two cops. Very good. Now, as the years go on, Richard Dryfuss has gotten a little bit kind of crazy, a little problematic, and you never want to meet your heroes. As a matter of fact, I had my friend Uncle Al, aka Uncle Al, stood in line to have that Laserdisc signed, and I asked him to say to Ralph and he couldn't even. They just had him up there just do his name. He couldn't remember what he's supposed to write before his own name. Yeah. Now he's done movies recently. They're not that great, but and again, I've seen him on the talk show circuit, and he's been spouting off some really weird stuff. So it's like you never want to really meet your people that you admire so much. But I have to say, his run from 75 through Close Encounters, this one, Stakeout, he had a really good run, and I just find him. I could watch him early on do these films. Let It Ride is definitely my most favorite of his, even more than Jaws. We also noticed in this one that he was wearing his Jaws outfit at one point. He had the jean jacket and the hat, which I was like, that's pretty funny. So, but I was worried as I'm watching this. I'm going, oh my God, Maria's going to just, I think you're going to kill me on this one because of what happened in that bathroom. But ultimately, that was romantic. That was considered romantic.
To whom?
Well, to Marsha Mason, I guess. Her character fell in love with him. So, I mean, it's it's written. So, all right. So, if you had to rate the film, our rating up to 5, what's your rating on The Goodbye Girl, 1977?
I'd give it a 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
I give it a 4. And then I add a 0.5 because of the song The Goodbye Girl by
the song is good.
David Gates. Lead singer for Bread, which, as you know, is my favorite album I use to get myself riled up in the morning. The Best of Bread. Just I don't know what it is about that album because it's definitely.
Well, that was one of the things I did notice is that was the only song in there. There was like no soundtrack to the movie.
Through the whole film. I hadn't noticed this before.
Yeah.
There's different versions of that song playing through the whole thing, playing by acoustic guitar, and humming it. At one point, somebody's humming.
I was surprised because she's a dancer and they do show scenes of her like trying out, but
yeah,
there's no music to it.
Yeah, what did you think about the scene with her selling the Subaru for the Japanese guys?
I thought that was hilarious because I do know a ton of people who have tried to break into like modeling, dancing, acting. That's the jobs they get.
The car,
especially in Vegas.
Stand around the car.
Stand around the car.
Yeah, I like that scene, and again, that's where he protects her by telling the Japanese guys that because she blew it. She's she screwed up the whole thing, but
she blew it because of him.
Because he walked in to look at her. That's all.
No, he didn't. He was dropping the kid off.
Oh, right.
He needed to get somewhere, so he was dropping the kid off. So he blew it for her. So then he went and fixed what he blew.
How romantic that is! So romantic, what he did for her. All right. So you said what, a 2.5?
Yeah.
I said a 4. So what's that, a 3?
Yeah.
An average, I guess, somewhere 3.25. I don't know.
I think that it doesn't help. I think if I would have seen it as a teenager that I was in 77, I may have liked it better because I wouldn't, like I'm looking at these movies as a full-grown woman who's raised 2 children, who has grandchildren, who has like been through life and had, various situations happen where I view them differently than I may have as a naive, 16-year-old.
Well, I mean, any movie now I mean, we all have to do that. Any movie
Right.
we saw as a kid, you have to now look at in your adult eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We all do that. And now, do you still like, the guys we watch all the time, Breakfast All Day, they do this great thing. Was it great or were we 8? Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, that's what I think you're talking about. There's some that I have that problem with, but most, like this one I saw when I was a sophomore, and to this day, the reason I put it on the list is one I really liked, and I wanted you to see it. Before I knew how you react to all these films, to be quite honest, I mean, like we couldn't do Chinatown for various reasons, and there's some I'm afraid are going to spin up that who knows what you're going to react, but so yeah, I'm not trying to be, but you definitely. Your spin is legit. That's why I like it. I like your spin, but it's always fascinating. So, and having said that, I wonder what the next one will be. Should we see what that is?
Let's see.
Let's pop this guy up. Okay. Here we go. Movies Maria missed. Oh, no.
Oh, no, what?
Oh, good. I thought it was going to be Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, it went to Almost Famous. Oh,
Almost
good. I've
Famous.
been wanting
You
to
have not
see that.
seen this one.
I have not seen it, and
Yeah.
I've been wanting to see
Yeah.
it since it came out. I just never saw
This
it.
will be a good. I think this. I think you're going to like this one. I'm going to predict that you're going to like this one because the female characters are strong,
Right.
and the kid is great. It's it's Cameron. It's basically a biography of Cameron Crowe.
Right. And I
Written
like
by Cameron Crowe, directed by Cameron Crowe, but still.
Yeah.
And Billy Crudup plays in a band that I think was fashioned around Foghat. So I love Foghat when I
do
was
love
younger.
Foghat.
Yeah. So good. All right. So we're going to do Almost Famous.
Okay.
Before we leave, I'll put on a little Best of Bread and we'll kind of chill out to that. Maybe I'll make a dinner for you tonight. I don't know. We'll figure out something. Sound good?
Sounds
I'll put my
perfect.
bogey hat on and I'll,
There you go.
here's looking at you, kid.
There you go.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Let me tell you goodbye.